I never thought I'd die in a grocery store parking lot on a Tuesday afternoon, but there I was, 28 years old, clutching my chest as the world tilted sideways and my knees hit the pavement. The last thing I remember, before everything went dark, was thinking how stupid it was that I'd never told anyone I was gay, never kissed a guy, never even been on a real date. All those years of hiding, and for what? To die alone next to a shopping cart full of frozen dinners? When I opened my eyes, there was an angel leaning over me. At least, that's what my oxygen-deprived brain decided he was. Dark hair, concerned brown eyes, strong hands pressing against my chest. His voice was calm, steady, cutting through the panic like a lighthouse beam through fog. "Stay with me," he said. "You're doing great. Just keep breathing." I tried to focus on his face, to memorize it, because some part of me was convinced I was dying and wanted to take something beautiful with me. He had a small scar above his left eyebrow and stubble that looked like he'd skipped shaving that morning. His paramedic uniform had a name tag that read, Mateo. "Mateo," I whispered, testing the name. "That's right," he said, and his smile was warm despite the urgency in his movements. "I'm Mateo. What's your name?" "Ben." "Okay, Ben, you had a cardiac episode, but you're stable now. We're going to take good care of you." The ambulance ride was a blur of beeping machines and Mateo's voice, constantly checking on me, explaining what was happening, keeping me grounded in reality when my brain wanted to spiral into terror. His hand found mine at some point, and I held on like he was the only solid thing in a dissolving world. At the hospital, they discovered I had an undiagnosed heart condition, something genetic that had been waiting to ambush me my whole life. The cardiologist said I was incredibly lucky. 5 more minutes without intervention, and I wouldn't have made it. Mateo had been off duty, just finishing his shift, when he saw me collapse. He'd sprinted across that parking lot and started CPR before his partner even got the ambulance rolling. He saved my life. I spent 3 days in the hospital. My parents came, fussing and worried, asking questions I couldn't fully answer. My coworker Shanice brought flowers and gossip from the office. But I kept thinking about Mateo, wondering if I'd ever see him again, if I should try to find him to say thank you properly. The hospital staff said he'd checked in on me the day after the incident, but I'd been sleeping. I was discharged on a Friday with a new medication regimen, a cardiology follow-up appointment, and strict instructions to avoid stress. My apartment felt different when I got home, like I was seeing it through new eyes. The stack of self-help books on my nightstand about coming out, the dating apps I'd downloaded and deleted a dozen times, the photos on my phone of guys I'd been too scared to message. Everything felt simultaneously more urgent and less important. I'd almost died without ever really living. That weekend, I did something I'd never done before. I called my sister, Vanessa, and told her I was gay. Just like that, over the phone, my heart pounding harder than it probably should given my recent medical crisis. There was a pause that felt like falling, and then she said, "Ben, I've known since you were 15. I've just been waiting for you to be ready to tell me." I cried. She cried. We talked for 2 hours about everything I'd been holding in, and when we finally hung up, I felt lighter than I had in years. Monday came, and I went back to work at the marketing firm where I'd been playing it safe for 6 years, keeping my head down, being pleasant but distant. Shanice cornered me at the coffee machine. "You look different," she said, studying my face. "Like, I don't know, more here?" "I almost died," I said. "It changes your perspective." "Well, I like it. You should almost die more often." She paused. That came out wrong. I laughed, really laughed, and it felt good. Tuesday evening, exactly 1 week after the incident, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. My first thought was that my parents had decided to surprise me with another wellness check, which they'd been threatening to do. I opened the door in sweatpants and an old college t-shirt, completely unprepared for who was standing there. Mateo. He looked different out of uniform, wearing jeans and a green Henley that made his eyes look even warmer than I remembered. He had a slightly awkward expression, like he wasn't entirely sure why he was there. "Ben," he said, and hearing him say my name again did something strange to my chest that had nothing to do with my heart condition. "Mateo, hi, hello. What are you—" I couldn't form a complete sentence. I know this is weird, he said quickly. Really weird. I shouldn't be here. There are probably rules against this. But I've been thinking about you all week, and I needed to make sure you were okay. Really okay. My brain was short-circuiting. You've been thinking about me? I check on a lot of patients, he said, but his ears were turning red. It's not unusual. Except, okay, I don't usually show up at their apartments a week later. That's definitely unusual. That's actually kind of creepy, isn't it? I'm sorry, I should go. No, I said, too loudly, too quickly. Don't go, please, come in. He hesitated, then stepped inside. My apartment was a mess. Papers from work scattered on the coffee table, dishes in the sink, but I couldn't bring myself to care. Matteo was here. The man who saved my life was standing in my living room, and he looked nervous, which somehow made him even more attractive. Can I get you something? I asked. Water, coffee. I think I have beer somewhere. Water's good. I went to the kitchen, grateful for something to do with my hands. When I came back, he was looking at the books on my shelf, a small smile on his face. You like mysteries, he observed. Yeah, the puzzle of it, I guess. Trying to figure things out before the detective does. He took the water I offered, our fingers brushing, and I felt that touch everywhere. We sat down, him on the couch, me in the armchair across from him, a safe distance that felt both necessary and frustrating. So, I said, you wanted to make sure I was okay. The hospital said you were discharged, that everything went well, but He ran a hand through his hair. This is going to sound strange. When I do CPR, when I'm working, I'm focused on the procedure, the protocols. It's almost mechanical. But with you, I was terrified. I've never been that scared during a call before. Why? He looked at me, really looked at me, and something passed between us, unspoken but clear as daylight. I don't know. That's what I've been trying to figure out all week. My heart was doing that thing again, racing, and I wondered if this was what the cardiologist meant by avoiding stress, because everything about this moment felt significant, dangerous, like standing at the edge of something vast. I'm glad you came, I said softly. Yeah? Yeah, I've been thinking about you too, a lot. I wanted to thank you properly, but I didn't know how to find you. I didn't even know if you'd remember me. Remember you? He laughed, but it sounded slightly strained. Ben, you're all I've been thinking about. I told myself I was just being professional, concerned about a patient, but then I found myself looking up your address in the call report, which is definitely not professional, and driving over here, which is probably crossing about 15 different lines. I'm glad you crossed them, I said. The air between us felt charged, electric. I knew what I wanted to say, what I needed to say, but the words felt huge, impossible. Matteo, I need to tell you something. When I was lying there in that parking lot, when I thought I might die, all I could think about was how I'd wasted so much time being afraid. Afraid of what people would think, afraid of being myself, afraid of taking chances. Afraid of what? He asked gently. I took a breath. This was it. The moment I'd been avoiding my entire adult life, and somehow it felt easier than I'd imagined, sitting here with this man who'd already seen me at my most vulnerable. I'm gay, I said, and I've never told anyone except my sister, and that was only a few days ago. I've spent my whole life hiding, and when I thought I was dying, all I could think was how stupid that was, how much time I'd wasted. Matteo was quiet for a moment, and my heart sank. I'd misread everything. He was straight. He was just being kind, checking on a patient, and I'd made it weird. Then he smiled, soft and real. Thank you for telling me. That's it? Thank you? What do you want me to say? I don't know. Something, anything. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Okay, how about this? I'm gay too. I came out when I was 22, lost some friends, gained better ones, and I've been doing this thing where I'm honest about who I am because life's too short for anything else. And I'm sitting here in your apartment, breaking about a dozen professional ethics guidelines because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since I saw you in that parking lot. The world tilted again, but this time in a good way. Oh, I said, eloquent as always. Yeah, oh. He was smiling now, and it transformed his whole face. So here's what I'm thinking. I should probably leave, wait a few more weeks, let you recover properly. Do this the right way. But I really don't want to leave. Then don't. Ben, you just had a major cardiac event. You need rest, stability, not some paramedic showing up and complicating your life. Maybe I want complicated, I said. Maybe I've had enough of safe and careful. He laughed. Your cardiologist would hate me. Good thing he's not here. We talked for hours. He told me about growing up in Phoenix, about coming out to his traditional Mexican family, and the long, difficult process of acceptance that followed. He told me about becoming a paramedic because he wanted to help people, about the calls that stayed with him and the ones that faded. He told me about his ex-boyfriend who couldn't handle the stress of his job, about being single for the past year and convincing himself he was fine with it. I told him about my own story, about knowing I was different since middle school but pushing it down, burying it under layers of normalcy, about the college hookups I'd almost had but chickened out of at the last minute, about the loneliness of hiding, of editing every word and gesture, of never feeling fully present in my own life. And then I collapsed in a parking lot, I said, and you were there. I was there, he agreed. It was past midnight when he finally stood to leave. We'd migrated to the couch at some point, sitting close enough that I could feel the warmth of him, smell his cologne mixed with something else, something that was just him. At the door, he turned back. Can I see you again? Like, on an actual date? Dinner or something? I'd really like that. Friday? Friday's perfect. He reached out and squeezed my hand, and the simple touch felt monumental. Take care of yourself, Ben. Actually, take your medication, go to your follow-up appointments, all of it. I will. Promise? I promise. He left, and I stood there with my back against the door, grinning like an idiot, my heart doing all kinds of acrobatics that probably violated my discharge instructions. Friday took forever to arrive. I changed my outfit 4 times, spent 20 minutes on my hair, and still felt completely unprepared when Matteo picked me up. He'd chosen a small Italian place in the arts district, quiet enough to talk, casual enough that I didn't feel too out of my depth. Over pasta and wine, I probably shouldn't have been drinking with my medications. We picked up where we'd left off, conversation flowing easily, punctuated by long looks and shy smiles. He told me about the worst calls he'd ever responded to, and I told him about the time I accidentally sent a client presentation to my entire contact list, including my dentist. You're funny, he said, like this surprised him. Is that a problem? No, it's great. You're great. Walking back to his car, his hand found mine, and I didn't pull away. I laced our fingers together and felt that same sense of rightness I'd felt all evening. He drove me home, walked me to my door like we were in some old-fashioned romance. I had a really good time, I said. Me too. He was standing close, and I could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, the way his breath caught slightly. Can I kiss you? I nodded, not trusting my voice. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to change my mind, but I didn't want to. His lips touched mine, gentle at first, then deeper, and it was everything I'd imagined, and nothing like I'd expected. Better. Real. His hand came up to cup my face, and I grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Wow, I said. Yeah, wow. He rested his forehead against mine. I should go before I do something your cardiologist would definitely not approve of. Probably wise. But neither of us moved for a long moment. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of learning each other, of late-night conversations and early morning texts, of meeting his friends and slowly expanding my own circle. 3 months of figuring out what it meant to be openly gay, to hold hands in public, to introduce Matteo as my boyfriend without my voice shaking. It hasn't all been easy. I had a panic attack at a company dinner when someone made a casual homophobic comment, and Matteo had to walk me outside until I could breathe again. There was the awkward dinner with my parents where they met him for the first time, my dad too quiet, my mom trying too hard. There were moments when the old fear crept back, when I wanted to hide again. But Matteo was patient. He never pushed, never demanded more than I could give. He just kept showing up, kept being himself, kept reminding me that I deserved to take up space in the world. Last week, I went to my 3-month cardiology follow-up. Everything looked good. The medication was working, my heart was stable, and the doctor cleared me for normal activities. Whatever you're doing, she said, keep doing it. Your stress levels are way down from your initial workup. I thought about Matteo, about coming out, about finally living honestly, and smiled. That night, Matteo came over with takeout and we ate on my couch, his body warm against mine, some action movie playing that neither of us was really watching. "I love you," he said suddenly during an explosion scene. I turned to look at him. "What?" "I love you. I've been wanting to say it for weeks, but I didn't want to rush you, didn't want to scare you off. But I do. I love you, Ben." My heart did that thing again, that racing, soaring thing. But this time I knew it wasn't dangerous. This time, it was just happiness. "I love you too," I said, and kissed him, the TV forgotten, the rest of the world forgotten, nothing existing except this moment, this man, this life I'd almost missed out on. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday afternoon, about collapsing in a parking lot, about how close I came to never having this. It terrifies me and thrills me in equal measure. I almost died before I really lived, but I didn't. Matteo saved me, in more ways than one. And now, every morning when I wake up next to him, every time I hold his hand or hear him laugh or watch him get ready for a shift, I'm grateful. Grateful for second chances, for courage found in crisis, for paramedics who break the rules and show up at your door a week later. I'm grateful for life, messy and complicated, and absolutely worth living.